Hey guys, I'm Mike, and I'm here at Aaron Sims Creative in LA, where they're using cutting-edge techniques and real-life science to bring the monsters of Rampage to life. Today, we're going to talk to some of the artists, sculptors, and designers behind George, Lizzie, and Ralph to see how they use 3D printing, gene splicing, and a whole lot of creativity to take these creatures out of the arcades and into the theaters.
Rampage was an opportunity to create monsters. So I love creating monsters, especially big monsters fighting in Chicago. Who doesn't want that?
Monsters are ASC's bread and butter, but Rampage director Brad Peyton had a unique scientific vision for his rampaging beasts.
Of course, it's an artistry, but it's the understanding of what Brad wanted. What was great about working with Brad on Rampage was his clarity. He's one of the directors that really wants to know the what, where, and why before we build it. And for Rampage, it was very specific because they were using this technology called CRISPR for the film.
CRISPR is a newly discovered system for targeting and editing the genetic code, giving scientists the potential to cure disease, change your eye color, or, in Rampage at least, transform cuddly critters into colossal chimeras.
In order to do that, we were directed to take attributes from other animal groups. What makes it faster? What makes it stronger? What makes it scarier? Part of this design is taken from the aspects of a cheetah: longer legs, slender, more aerodynamic. That was just a super unique process, being able to kind of blend attributes of different animals together to create a giant, believable creature.
So we looked at elements like that. Okay, well, what's going to make this wolf different than any other wolf? For the wing here, we were looking for an almost winged squirrel, right? You know, with the webbing between the appendages.
Why does he need little wings? And so we started coming up with the membrane between the arms, like maybe it flies like a squirrel, maybe it flies just full out like a bat. But that was an advantage that it had over the other creatures. Every little part of the design of all three of these creatures, they all have a play off of each other and how they interact.
There were elements of elephant tusks on Lizzie, so just integrating, mammalian, mammal-like qualities into the reptiles, reptile-like qualities into the mammals, like, with Ralph.
With a crocodile, he has this gigantic weapon for a tail that he can just smash things and rip it apart. And also has spikes on its back that would actually open up, and if you were attacking its back, it would basically, like a porcupine, like just rip you to shreds. So it became all these interesting weapons that they were growing within, and that was part of the design process. It wasn't just for the cool factor, but it was for its function.
I think I'm partial to the Lizzie design. She's just like this over-the-top dinosaur crocodile. Unbelievable. So I would say, I love them all. They're all our children, but yeah, I think Lizzie takes my win.
Ralph and Lizzie might be the flashier freaks, but the silverback George is the heart and soul of Rampage. Giant apes are a cinema staple, and ASC had to think outside the box to make their oversized simians special.
A lot of these creatures and characters, we've seen aspects of them in film. Like we've seen big gorillas, King Kong, Mighty Joe Young. There was something early on that in the design process where I threw out making George an albino gorilla. Everyone seemed to resonate with it. It wasn't until they saw the design that it was like, that's unique, that's gonna stand out. It won't be when someone sees a trailer and they go, oh, it's another King Kong movie. There's a terrifying aspect of a gorilla because when he roars and he's got all his teeth and he pounds his chest, it's intimidating. And that's part of the fear. But there's also a side of it that's warm and caring. And in this film, George was Dwayne's friend and then became infected, which was affecting his mind. So he was going a little bit insane. So we had to bring him back to reality before it's too late. So you see these two sides of this character, and it's an exciting journey.
Speaking of exciting journeys, ASC has fully embraced an emerging technology that's changing the way movies are designed.
Well, 3D printing, it's been around for a while, and I've always been fascinated by it. It's only recently that many different companies have been able to create it to where it's affordable and easy enough to actually create, your print.
3D printing is an incredible addition to this workflow because with all this existing kind of in a digital landscape, so with the 3D printing, we have that ability now to bring it into the real world. And with Rampage, we got to print these guys and hold them and spin them around and see the way the light hit the surfaces and the way this guy would read in a real world scenario.
There's nothing like seeing your work 3D printed. It's incredible. Whenever we got everything ready for the pitch package for this movie, we 3D printed Ralph, George, and Lizzie. We had them set off and painted. They came back and they were just beautiful. I was like, oh man, this is so cool. Like, seeing our monsters in physical form, and you can really see the scale of them. And at the end of the day, it helps with the pitch. The directors, the backers, they're all able to see it and they're like, that's rad.
It's not just a printout or on a computer or a screen, it's a physical thing there, and it's made such a big difference on a lot of characters that immediately, especially execs, when they look at it and they go, oh wow, this could be a toy. And it just starts opening up ideas that they never would have thought of when it was just a printout.
3D printing is pretty impressive tech, but if you really want to make a designer's day, show them the mass-produced toy based on their creation.
I mean, this is my boy right here, Ralph. As you can see, Walmart line of toys. Being 30 years old, I never knew that I'd be able to walk into a store and see something I designed, especially a monster on the shelf. And it's truly a bucket list item times 10. Like, I mean, just mark it off, dude. It feels incredible, and now you can buy it for 20 bucks at Walmart, you know? It's absolutely incredible. It feels great.
Behind the scenes, finding a real-world basis for the beasts goes a long way towards making them feel like living, breathing creatures, you know, on a rampage. It took a talented director, a team of artists, and just a tiny bit of genetic engineering to bring George, Lizzie, and Ralph to the big screen. But when you're coming up with opponents for The Rock, you gotta bring out the big guns.